Monday the 15th of January 2024, Martin Luther King Day, literally waiting for the sun to come up. I have a straight question, which please, if you have a few seconds of your time, I'd love you to answer. It may appear to be frivolous, it may appear to be like clickbaity, but I'm being serious. We've never actually asked this question before. It is a straight yes or no in the comments section below. Let me give you some background detail. So Trump was in Iowa over the weekend.
My wife's mother, who was an incredible woman, a great beauty inside and out, incredible woman, she just died. And my wife was very devastated by that. And I have a trial going on, a fake trial, a totally fake trial. And we asked the judge if I could take a day off for a funeral of my mother-in-law, who was very close to me also. And he said, no. Can you imagine? These are animals. Can you imagine that, Nigel? That wouldn't even happen in your country, right? He said, no, we can't have a day off. These are bad people. These are
speech. Often Trump rabbles on, comes out with a lot of stuff which, you can make jokes about afterwards, and commentators have a field day just pulling it to pieces. But something he said, even for the MAGAs, even for the Trumps, just makes you ask the question.
But think of that. Can I have a day off? I'd like to go to the... So my wife is going to be standing at the funeral of her mother, who was a very special woman. It's not like this was a very special, incredible woman. And so she's supposed to stand there alone. Now, I'll be there. One way or the other, I'll be there. But what a disgrace that a judge would not say, yes, we can take a day off. There's no rush. You know, all of these indictments, they could have done them 3 years ago. Because,
correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought that death is something that brings out the humanity in all of us, the calmer side. As you know, Donald Trump's mother-in-law, Melania Trump's mum, passed away. And during his speech in Iowa, he complained that the judge wouldn't allow him time away from the case. And he actually doesn't need to, wouldn't allow him time away from the case. And he actually doesn't need to be physically present at the moment. I mean, Alina Habba, she can do, quack herself, can do it all. But he said the judge wouldn't give him time off. He needed time off to prepare and attend the funeral. Now, that on the surface seems reasonable, until you then look at the facts. The absolute facts. So, take a look at the letter from Yabba Dabba Doo. She's getting paid. Requesting that her client, I think that's the word, needs time to, I should say, pay his respects and bury his mother-in-law. Weirdly, part of that time he needs to recover and do the things that most of us would do away from the cameras, etc. He wants to be in full public mode, having a rally. So I asked the question, is Trump a liar? Now, we're going to need at least 100 either likes or comments. So is Trump a liar? If you think yes, he is a liar, smash the like button, press the like button, or yes or no, please vote, leave a comment, because this is really, really important. Now, you can say, yes, Trump has lied about so many different things. He surrounds himself with liars. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jim Jordan. That's just two off the top of my head.
I think it's clear President Trump is the right guy for the job because he did such a great job when he was there before.
I mean, this guy, the thing I love so much about President Trump is this guy hates to lose.
Where was he then?
Fake news. No, it is fake news. Good luck, everybody.
Let's concentrate on this one thing. Is Trump a liar? Because if he is a liar, what does that say about somebody who wants to be president of the United States of America? What does that say about somebody who is seeking your vote? So it's okay to vote for a liar? Now, you can be cynical and say all politicians are, well, you can tell when what's that line? You can tell when a politician is lying because they're moving their mouth. That is not an answer. Again, is Trump a liar, yes or no? And why is it acceptable? It's like some kamikaze new norm. Oh, wow, Trump's allowed to lie. I always wonder, the people that go to the MAGA rallies, and I'm not going to call them the sheep, you know, the red hats, do they really believe everything he says?
Why do you think former President Trump threw you under the bus over the weekend?
Well, I didn't get thrown anywhere, but I think there might have been an attempt to do that. I'd say that it's partly because of what
you were under the bus.
Well, look, I'd say what Elon Musk and others are saying.
The bus had snow tires on it.
Well, I'll tell you this, I took it in a lighthearted way, but the truth is people have to have their heads stuck in the snow not to see what's happening on the ground here. I know the mainstream media is ignoring it, but there has been a massive surge here late in the process. A number of endorsers who are widely expected to go to Donald Trump, legends in Iowa, like former Congressman Steve King, widely expected to go for Trump, came for me. A number of the strongest constitutionalist conservatives have switched from the other candidates in the last 72 hours to me. Steve Holt came from Ron DeSantis. Right. And so I think people who are actually on the ground are not blind to that reality. And I think the mainstream media, largely for better or worse, has been, which means I think we're going to see a shock tonight.
And Dr. Apoorva Rimswamy, one of the things about the Iowa caucus is there's no early voting. So it's not like people have already voted. They're going to go to a high school gym or something like that tonight at 7 o'clock, and they're going to decide. They're going to write the name down. And as we've heard, there are a number, and it's not a gigantic number, but there's still a significant number of people who are undecided. And so that's why a late surge is really good for you. If you're going to surge in a campaign, you want to do it on Election Day, caucus day in this case.
Exactly. You have people who, despite this cold, are going to be coming out because they are so passionate about this cause. They have been campaigning this whole process, and especially now. They work so hard all the way late into the night. As many campaign events as we do, we have a staff and a volunteer base who have been working just as hard. And that really speaks to how passionate people are about.
Do they really believe that, for example, when he says they're coming for you and they're coming for me, they're coming for me, they're coming for you, etc. Do they really believe that? Do they really think right now, let's say, for example, they have a medical bill that comes in, take your average MAGA person, do they really believe that Trump is suddenly going to pay that bill? That miraculously, when Trump comes to power, all the world issues are going to disappear? Literally, overnight, they're going to disappear? Do they really, hands on heart, believe that? Is Trump telling the truth, yes or no? I've given you some evidence there that should help you come to a conclusion. I just want to know, it's not whether you vote for him or not, is he a liar? Is lying acceptable? We're not talking about little lies you may tell. We're talking about straightforward stuff which is just not true.
And I did three rallies.
Trump, you've taken millions of dollars from gasoliners, from oil gasoliners. You work with them, or people like me, like ordinary people like me. You are taking a grave. You are taking a grave with the fossil fuel money. You are taking. You are taking a grave with the fossil fuel money. You are taking.
Fannie Willis being another example. So Fannie Willis, as you know, is the DA. She's giving Trump a good legal run, and the outcome potentially is not going to be good for Trump. So they've made up some stuff that she's having an affair, etc., with one of the people involved in the case. What they don't say, as well, is that a Republican also employed this same particular individual and paid him twice as much. So why are they lying?
Land paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need some.
Pastor Decker, your response to that, does it concern you at all?
Again, he didn't create it. I don't think that he thinks that. He posts lots of things, and I think he does it to troll people, honestly. You get down inside, he is very clearly stated behind the scenes that he is he has the fear of God and wants, he's not there yet as far as I'm concerned. I would love to see him become and grow more of a conscience in a lot of areas. But I think he has a proven track record of being a good president, especially on abortion.
And quickly, Dr. Labinas, for you, any concerns about idolatry?
Yeah, and it's not so much about what President Trump does. It's the people who follow him. Yeah, there are some that are way over the top, that almost anything he would do, and of course he even said anything he would do, people would still support him. That's concerning to me, and it is getting close to the definition of idolatry.
America from crooked Joe Biden. You must go caucus tomorrow. It's really the first step. It's really the first step. We got to do it. We got to do it big. You got to get out. You can't sit home. If you're sick as a dog, you say, darling, I got to make it. Even if you vote and then pass away, it's worth it, remember? If you're sick, if you're just so sick you can't tolerate, I don't think, get up. Get up. You get up, you're voting. Yes, darling, because ultimately we know who calls the shots, right? Right, Polly? So you be safe and all, you're going to be safe. And again, all indoors, it's going to be all indoors, but you got to get up, you got to vote, because it has nothing to do with anything but taking our nation back, and that's the biggest thing there is. So arrive no later than 6:30, and as I said earlier, the details are ia.donaldjtrump.com. So in conclusion, we're having a good time though, aren't we? Just a good time. I got Billy Long up here to show us that. From Fort Dodge to Cedar Rapids, from Sioux City to Waterloo, and from Davenport to Des Moines to right here in Indianola, we stand on the shoulders of generations of Iowa patriots who tamed the wilderness, braved the elements, tilled the soil, worked the fields, built the factories, and poured out their sweat, blood, tears to make this country the greatest nation in the history of the world. That's what happened. But now we are a nation in decline.
So, Congressman Schiff, one, thank you for your time this afternoon. It's so crazy what he's saying, which is why it's so important to point it out. So I really wanted to ask you first, if Trump, what he's calling for here, if this were what were to happen, that there would be no president would be held accountable for their actions, what would that mean exactly?
Well, it is every bit as crazy as it sounds. It means that a president could order the assassination of his political opponents and not be held accountable. It means that a president could threaten the life of a Senate president if they brought impeachment proceedings and not be held accountable. Essentially, it would, to quote Justice Goldberg, it would turn the Constitution into a suicide pact. And the Constitution is not a suicide pact. It doesn't require its own destruction. But to interpret the way Donald Trump would interpret the Constitution, it would nullify any of the protections the American people have from a despot or despotism. I think the tougher question, frankly, the Court of Appeals may have to deal with is, should they decide this before there's a verdict in the case? That may be the closer question. But on the merits of this, is a president immune while in office from being prosecuted for committing crimes when he leaves office? The answer is clearly no. And I think even with the current Supreme Court, they're going to conclude, no, you don't have that kind of immunity.
I do speak in long, complex sentences, and I have a lot of material in each sentence or paragraph. And
a lot of Republicans there felt like, we're going to pass the buck. We'll let somebody else deal with Donald Trump. McConnell got up and explained that he didn't vote to convict, not because Donald Trump wasn't guilty. He said he was morally, ethically, factually responsible, but the Senate did not have jurisdiction to try a former president, which cut against 2 centuries of precedent. But in any event, he let him off on a technicality. And then he said, we'll let the courts deal with it. There can be a criminal prosecution later. I think some people in the Supreme Court might be thinking, well, let's kick the buck back over to the Congress or the people. We'll let them deal with it. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says that nobody who swears an oath to support the Constitution of the United States who violates that oath by engaging in insurrection or rebellion shall ever be allowed to hold federal or state office again, unless the Congress reverses that divestment of ability to serve by a 2/3 vote. It's very clear. If you're an originalist, if you're a textualist, if you just want to go by the language of the Constitution, it's totally clear. It's the supreme law of the land. So the question is, are we going to follow that or not? Now, I was a little despairing the Supreme Court would take their responsibility seriously until last week when Trump's lawyers went into the D.C. Circuit on a different case and said that Trump or any other president has the right to order assassinations of people and cannot be prosecuted for that unless first impeached or convicted. So if they can run out the clock and then say the Senate doesn't have jurisdiction to hold a trial, then they act with complete impunity. And in fact, if they want, they could kill members of the House or the Senate to deny a majority to people who would want to impeach him. They could, the president could order killings of the Supreme Court or judges. And I think that that might wake the Supreme Court up and say,
straight question this Monday morning. Is Trump a liar? Yes or no? And why? Why lie? Why can they not tell the truth? Comer, Jim Jordan, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and if you're in Colorado, how is the answer ever Lauren Boebert? There's somebody, you asked me straight away, is Lauren Boebert a liar? I would say yes. and she can, well, I'm sure legally they can have their argument against me if I'm wrong. But why is lying becoming the norm? And is Trump the confather? Is he the chief liar in America? Yes or no? Comment section's all yours.